It's 5 o'clock, y'all. Y'all know what that means. I don't know if you can hear the background music yet. It's just the intro. It's coming. And yes, it's Mariah. Here she comes. Oh, y'all, I could jam out to some Mariah all day, every day. Happy hour, y'all. It is so good to be back for week 8. Guys, 8 weeks. Can you believe it? The weekend's over, but so is Monday. Happy stinking happy hour. Happy end of Monday, the 11th. I'm out here in West Austin, 80-degree weather. The sun's out. Mariah is playing and singing her stuff, and I'm hanging out with you guys. Y'all know the drill. I want you to drop into the comments. Where are you? What are you drinking? 3 stars if you're a first timer, because we want to shout you out. Let's say hi to a few folks while we're waiting on some other folks to join us. Ooh, darling, because you'll always be my baby. You're welcome, guys. You didn't know you were going to get a Mariah Carey karaoke from yours truly. Oh, this song, y'all. Sarah, what is up in San Antonio? Drinking Hill Country Tempranillo. Hi, Diane. Good to see you. What are you and Paul drinking? 17 Artist Blend. I love it. Brian, happy hour. I love it. Your 2-year-old just yelled it. Even your 2-year-old is getting into the William Chris happy hour rhythm, and I could not be happier. God, that brings a smile to my face. Yes, Savannah. Week 8. I couldn't be happier to start it with some Mariah. Bill and Monica from Lake Jackson drinking some Petite Sirah also from Paso. Guys, I am drinking Petite Sirah. We're going to talk about that today. Sarah's fixing some sirloin beef stew with Tempranillo in the Instapot. I hope the Tempranillo is in your glass and the stew is in your Instapot. But, you know, you do you. And I'm definitely not giving up my day job. This is my day job. So it actually is to be on screen and be a little ridiculous and sing along with Mariah Carey and host Happy Hour. So not giving it up. Guys, I love this. It's good to see a lot of you. Kate in Pflugerville, Susan, South Austin, drinking some Shiraz. I love it. Alan in Sugarland, drinking some Clink Sangio. Eric and Aja checking in from San Antonio. Good to see familiar names. Man, somebody's loud car needs to get up out my happy hour. Okay, guys. Y'all, it is time for us to kick this off. It's 5:03, so unfortunately, because she's about to hit the high note, hold on. Okay, sorry, I gotta cut it off. We gotta get started on wine. We have too many fun things to cover today. I could literally sit here and just listen to Mariah with you guys. Can we do that for like a whole happy hour? Just listen to Mariah and drink wine together? Okay, next time maybe we'll do that. Alexa off. I don't know if you guys have Alexa playing. She might have responded to you. Sometimes that happens too. Guys, we've got an awesome crew of special guests today. Let's jump in with some William Chris familiar faces. We are going to head out to what looks like to me like room 3. I think we got a Lisa flick in room 3. Is that accurate?
That is absolutely correct. Yeah, if you look behind me, there's the giant vine. I'm like, I can't see. There's the giant vine. I am in room 3 of the farmhouse from William Chris Vineyards.
I love it. And what are you drinking today, Lisa?
Hold on. 2017 Enchante.
I love it. And I know that you've mentioned before, you like those bigger, bolder, strong wines, the ones that you can kind of chew on. So
chewy, smack me in the face red.
So you're going to be pretty excited about when we talk about Petite Sirah today?
I am stoked, yes.
Well, cheers, friend. Happy hour. It's good to see your face like always. Let's go next to another part of the William Chris property. We have another wonderful member of our William Chris family today. Susie, how are you?
Hey, I couldn't be happier.
What is happening at the High property right now? I think you were working curbside pickup just a little bit ago.
I got to spend the whole day doing curbside, talk to some beautiful people on the phone. I love the members and everybody calling, making lots of orders, online orders, getting ready for the virtual tasting on May 16th.
I love it. Well, friend, what are you drinking today?
I am drinking the 2018 Artist Blend.
Ooh, yum. And I know that one's going to be in short supply, so good on you.
It is.
Heard a rumor. So that one's actually in the virtual tasting pack for this weekend, right? But like
Yes,
once that's gone, it's pretty much gone because we didn't make a
it
ton of
is.
artist blend, right?
Right. Yeah, we are almost sold out. In fact, we didn't even think that we were going to have any available beyond Wine Club, but we have just a little bit left. We were able to piece it together for the virtual tasting, and so I'm drinking that in its honor.
Oh, I am so jealous. I'm not even sure that I've tasted the 18 yet. I have to go back and remember. Maybe I've had it once.
Unless you can buy a whole bunch of it, don't, because you're going to love it, and then you're going to be sad when it's gone.
Oh, I hate that. Okay, but so essentially everybody needs to buy the virtual tasting pack for this week because that's how you get it. Okay.
So give me a call. I'll be working curbside again tomorrow.
I love it. Well, cheers to you, Susie. Happy hour. It's good to see your face.
Happy hour to you.
Y'all, and last but not least, we have a very special guest. One of my good friends here in the Austin region, seeing a theme here. A lot of these special guests are friends of mine in the wine industry. So I'm going to bring my friend Celia up. And before I spend this entire episode mispronouncing your name, can we just confirm that it is indeed Celia and not Celia? Yeah?
Celia. My mom always used to say, it's like I'm going to sell you something.
Oh, I like that. Well, I always think of your Instagram name, Selly Pelly, and I'm like, Selly Pelly, it's got to be Celia. Okay, so now I remember. Okay, well, first, I'm glad we confirmed that and that I don't feel like an idiot or hurt your feelings for an entire episode. So it's Celia. Where are you and what are you drinking, friend?
I'm at home in Austin. I am drinking some Arnaud Roberts Touriga Nacional Rosé, the 2019. So.
Oh, cheers, friend. I am very, very jealous. I do love me some Arnaud Roberts.
No, it's pretty. I love it a lot. I'm excited. I picked it up for the restaurant, and it's been kind of funny. I picked up so many new wines, and then all of this happened, and I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna get really good at wine journalism because that's how I'm like selling it online. So it's been fun. It's been a new way to like learn how to sell to people, which is
I love that opportunity in this moment. Like I feel like we're all kind of picking up new skills and new ways to think about wine, and I think it's made us stronger and better for the customer, better for the people who have questions and want to interact with us. So because we're forced to talk about it in a way that we're not used to.
Yeah, I have to like condense down my spiel because I can't just like tell stories about the people. And I'm like, oh, they're only gonna look at this for like 5 seconds. So yeah.
Well, hey, if you want to come tell stories, this is a great place to do it. My viewers know I have a tendency to tell some stories. But anyway, friend, it's so good to see your face. I am going to bring you back a little bit later for the Wine Nerd section, and I'm excited to talk about Mexican food and wine. So cheers again. We'll see you very soon, okay? All right, party people. I know there are some more of you who jumped in here. I want to say hi to a lot of you. Tempe's here. Good to see you. Who else? Oh, my goodness. You're at Tempe. You're asking questions about keeping the artist blend. If I don't answer that, remind me to come back to it. We have so much information to get through today, and I just want to make sure we get there. And if I don't get to your question, I'll do a look through of the comments, and I'll answer it afterwards on Facebook. How about that? I'll make you that deal. And yes, I love some Touriga. Phillips Vineyard is like, oh, what was the label the Touriga Celia is drinking? It's Arnaud Roberts. I'll let her share that later. Cool that they're making rosé with Touriga. Phillips Vineyard, I know you guys are into the Touriga business, and maybe there can be a future there. I do love that idea. Elise, it's good to see you. Pam, Melissa, Dallas is in the house. Okay, guys, it's time to talk about what I'm drinking. I know Lisa's been waiting on this. So let's take a look at the label. Take a gander. This is Petite Sirah. Okay. Notice the unique spelling here. This does not say S-Y-R-A-H. Okay. Petite Sirah from Lehigh Vineyards in the Texas High Plains. And it is from the 2015 vintage. All right. So first of all, we need to talk about the fact that Petite Sirah is not Syrah, guys. And it is not young Syrah. It is not baby Syrah. Petite Sirah is its own variety, okay, altogether. So first of all, you'll notice that is a dark wine. Petite Sirah is one of the highest anthocyanin levels, and I just use a very nerdy term, one of the highest anthocyanin levels in the world of wine. That is the compound that is in the skins of the grapes that gives wine its color and also provides tannin. It's full of antioxidants, you know, the stuff that everybody says like this stuff in wine is good for you. Petite Sirah is high in all those things. It usually also has high acid, high tannin. So Petite Sirah brings a lot of everything. This is the extra wine, if you know what I'm talking about. This wine is very extra. A lot of times is going to bring some blueberry, maybe a little plum. Also can show notes of chocolate. If you're getting a California version, a lot of times they're really high in alcohol because they can shoot up, and those growers like to let it sit on the vine for a long time. This wine is under 13%. It's only like 12 and a half, I think. 12 and a half. When you keep it lighter on the alcohol, it becomes a little more floral and aromatic in nature. It's not as rich. For me, it becomes more balanced. I like it that way. So let's cheers to all of you. Happy hour. Let's all take a drink of whatever we're drinking. Oh, yeah. Blueberry. And it's a little on the tart side. I don't normally expect that from a Petite Sirah because a lot of times they're rich. But because the acid can also stay high and the alcohol's lower, this wasn't as ripe and rich and intense from the get-go. And so the finished wine still stays a little bit tart. I would say, and I made this mistake, I would decant this. Even, you know, it's a 15, it's a Petite Sirah. Petite Sirahs can almost always benefit from a decant, maybe 45 minutes to an hour. It will soften the wine. So right now I only opened this like 15 minutes ago, maybe 20 minutes ago. And it still needs to open up. It still needs some time. And so I didn't do what I think you should be doing, which is when you have Petite Sirah, you need to be decanting it. Okay. And yes, Leah, I love that descriptor. It is inky. That is a really good one. Woo. Okay, guys, real quick wine nerd thing here. Petite Sirah in France is known as Durif or Durif. I'm going to put that in the comments here so you can see that and get a little. We're not going to spend a whole bunch of time talking about Petite Sirah, but I wanted you to see this. This is the real French name for this grape. So it was called Durif or Durif way back in the day in the 1800s when it was discovered in Montpellier in France. It got transported to California and they started making a big deal out of it. They liked that it was big and robust and had all this characteristic. But the name Durif or Durif doesn't sound sexy. Let's be honest. Okay. So the growers there, the marketing, this was like the early days of wine marketing, guys. They decided to change the name and make their own and call it Petite Sirah. And one of the reasons they do that is because it does sometimes show that kind of peppery, blueberry, dark fruit notes that are common in Syrah. But these grapes are very different. And in my opinion, the wines are very different. You don't have a lot of the meaty, savory, bacon and olive notes that you get in regular Syrah. In Petite Sirah, it's more blueberry, chocolate, spice. And maybe a little bit of floral aromatics if it's on the lower alcohol side. So very different grapes, very different names. They're not the same, and you learn that here on William Chris Wine today. So there's your little wine nerd nugget. But that is the apéro to our main course. So without further ado, let's transition to my friend Celia. We're going to bring her up, and before she jumps in, I need to give her a proper introduction. Celia, and she's going to share a little bit about this journey with us, I hope, today. Came to Austin or came to Central Texas with a lot of experience out in California. And so I would say some pretty extensive understanding of natural wine, which we had conversations about last week, and was working at Suerte. And I just found this out today, and I am like happy to celebrate my friend Celia. So I'm going to share it with the world that maybe at the beginning of quarantine or right as quarantine was starting or about to get kicked off, Celia, who has been helping manage the floor at Suerte in Austin, incredible Mexican restaurant. You need to go check it out. Got promoted to general manager and has continued to be the wine director. So she's been helping with the wine program and making selections for the menu and the wine program at Suerte. But she's not just running the wine program, she's running the show. And I am super over them. So first of all, cheers to you, friend. Congratulations for becoming GM. Run the show over there like you should be. I love it. I'm going to put a little comment thing here at the bottom so folks can ask questions while we're chatting. Guys, if you have questions today, we're going to be talking about pairing wine with Mexican food. And so if you have questions for Celia, specifically about her wine journey, her experience, or anything related to pairing wine with Mexican food, please jump into the comments. But Celia, I'd love you to kick us off by telling us, one, where are you originally from and how did your wine journey begin?
Yeah, I was born in Houston, but I have lived basically my entire life in Austin. Yeah, so I'm one of those people.
Remind me where you went to high school, because we've talked about this.
I went to elementary at St. Teresa's and high school at St. Stephen's. I did a very short stint at McCallum.
Okay.
It didn't work out for me.
Yep. I had a lot of friends growing up who went to St. Stephen's. Anyway, okay, sorry, totally sidetracked. Squirrel back here. Your wine journey. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so I moved to San Francisco. I played collegiate soccer. That's kind of how I ended up at USF, but ended up majoring in hospitality. I knew I wanted to do restaurants. I did a little bit in hotels, but that's a whole different world. And my program required me to work in restaurants like simultaneously with my college program. So I started working at all these different places. I was home and met David Barzilay of Lazy Bear at Indie Chefs Week. I don't know if you guys remember the previous version of Foreign and Domestic, but they used to have a big thing called Indie Chefs Week.
Yeah, Indie Chefs Week, yeah. So
I interned there as like a 19-year-old and met David Barzilay as he was starting the pop-up for Lazy Bear, which is now a 2 Michelin star restaurant in San Francisco. And I got on board at like ground zero with him and ran the pop-up with him and then helped as a captain at Lazy Bear. And that's where I really was like, okay, wine is cool. And this is why I want to be in restaurants, you know? So I had an amazing sommelier there who was super young and just like incredibly crazy and passionate about wine. And I was like, this is fun. I already had this like weird competitiveness with soccer, and wine is a little competitive, especially in that like Michelin star level. So.
Oh yeah, and especially in San Francisco, where I feel like it's oh, my program's better than your program.
Yeah, and you can like semi be obsessed with something with people not like seeing that.
Yeah, you're like, excuse me, I'm the Petite Sirah aficionado. So if you really want to explore this grape that is the best in the world, you can come to my restaurant.
Yeah, and it's fun, and I have always worked really well with teams and being, in front of people, and that's always been so exciting for me. So everyone in my family is a teacher, so wine was something that was really my version of getting into like education and teaching people and being tableside, and just having conversations has always been the huge like motivation for me to stay with wine. Yeah.
I'm learning even more reasons to love you. Not that I already didn't love you a lot, but like, me being a former teacher and like being in the wine education space, like all these things, I just want to hug you virtually and go, oh my gosh, I love you even more now. Also, have we talked about soccer? I didn't know that. So yeah. I played soccer my whole life, was like on my way to playing D1, blew out my knee the first weekend of my senior year of high school. Like, I didn't have no idea. Okay. Sorry, guys. I might have shot a few shots of espresso and I am hyped for this happy hour. Refocus. Celia is talking to us, and you eventually made your way, very long, I'm sure, path, but to Suerte, which opened to much acclaim. And I love that it's in East Austin. That's my place, my home. I ran for office to represent that community. Like, I still very much identify with that part of Austin. And freaking Suadero tacos to change your life, which everybody loves to talk about. Okay. I also saw the news that Suerte is starting a taco. Like, you guys are doing tacos to go starting tomorrow, and I'm putting in my order as soon as I can. Also, I need some of the magic chili oil. But talk to us about Mexican food. I feel like I struggle with this as a wine professional. I feel like we're supposed to always know the wine pairings and like, what do we drink with this, that, and the other. And honestly, Mexican food is hard for me. I always struggle with this.
Yeah.
So I want to know, just like, start us off on this conversation about Mexican food and wine and how we should be thinking about it.
Yeah. So obviously Mexican food is incredibly complex. if you grew up in Texas or you live in Texas, you know Tex-Mex, and like there's some staples there, right? But Mexican food is incredibly regional. It's incredibly technique driven. It's got a ton of history. It's got a ton of like cultural nuances depending on where you are or who's cooking it. Everybody's talked about, you know, their grandma has the best tamale or their best mole or whatever. And that's like part of that complexity, right? Like there's just so many different ingredients that go into these recipes that seem so simple. But like most salsas, like your fresh salsas are going to be like onion, garlic, tomatillo. But then you get into this like levels and it's just like add these chiles, add this, cook it this way, do it that way. And like 1-2 ounce thing that you think is so simple ends up being this incredible labor of love. It's really, really amazing. So food and wine can get a little different.
So what you're saying to start is like, first of all, it really depends a lot on like what kind of Mexican we're talking about, just because Mexican as a whole cannot be lumped together. It is not all one thing. So you can't just be like, for red, drink this, for white, drink that. Like it's not an easy answer. Right.
And that's the same with all food, right? Like even French food, like it's regional, Italian food is regional. And it will always look that way. The hard part is that, you know, the trick they always teach new sommeliers is like, what is the phrase that rhymes? But eat with what grows around there, right?
Yeah. What grows together goes together.
But like that's not a huge thing in Mexico because there's not a lot of the grapes that they should be growing there.
Preach that. Yep.
Yeah, Mexico actually has an amazing wine culture. They have the oldest winery in North America in Plata de las Fuentes, Casa Madero. So like they have that culture there. They had the missionaries. They had all of that. But they like when California took off and did all of this, Mexico kind of went the other way, and they had tequila introduced. So that's why when you drink Mexican food, you're normally drinking margaritas and tequila and all these really bright, high acid, refreshing drinks. But that's kind of how I learned how to pair wine with it. Is I started looking at like why is margarita a thing? Why are palomas a thing? Why are these super classic cocktails that you find in Mexico? What people are always drinking? Like why are people always drinking, you know, all these Mexican lagers with their food and all of that, and trying to find wines that fall in those categories. So you
just blew my mind. I know we're just getting started in that conversation, but I'm like, what? I never thought to like think about it that way. But like we always crave, like you're saying, Mexican beer and margs is what I want to be drinking with the Mexican food, and like what is in that, what components of that translate to. Man, okay, sorry, keep going.
No, it's fine. So I broke it down with like the 3 kind of different camps I live in when I'm drinking with Mexican food. When I'm thinking like street food, like tacos or even Tex-Mex, I read the best thing and it was like, imagine the drinks you do drink with that food, and it's jarritos and Mexican Coke and Mexican Sprite, right? Like you want something bright and refreshing with a little bit of acid, a little bit of fruit. So I found Lambrusco and pet nats work incredibly well with those like kind of one bite tacos, things with a little bit of fat, but not overwhelmingly complex. They're just like meat and salsa or, you know, those kind of things. I love them.
Okay. I'm telling you, you could write a book on this and you make $1 million. This is incredible stuff, guys. I've not read this anywhere, and I read a lot of nerdy stuff about wine. So already camp 1, street food, kind of tacos and Tex-Mex. We're going like normally you think Mexican Coke and Sprite. So the wine kind of equivalent, if you want to call it that, or related, it would be in Lambrusco and pet nats.
Yeah, I always get the guava jarritos, and it's my favorite thing in the world. And like I can definitely name a few pet nats that can like fall in that camp, you know? So
100% would maybe the William Chris pet nat, you know?
Exactly. Like, yeah, they have some fruit, they're bright, they're fresh, they make your mouth water a little bit, they cut through. Most tacos are really fatty, and those bubbles help kind of refresh that fatty kind of texture. So root rosés are all really good. We have a rosé cava that I love, and it's a really big hitter for us, and it lasts pretty well throughout the whole meal. But that's kind of where I start.
But you're also here recommending a lot of things that have carbonation. So like you're saying that like we need that to refresh our palate because it's kind of fatty and clean.
Right. Yeah, and like I mean, unless you're like, hey, give me the hottest salsa you have, it almost always works. Bubbles can exasperate spice. So like as you get into spicier things, it can make it a little worse. And that's why I always tell people, if you're going to do bubbles, try to steer towards something that is going to have a lot of fruit. You're not going to go down the champagne road. You're definitely going to go down these like fruitier and fresher kind of styles if you're going to do bubbles. But I highly recommend bubbles. I love them.
I love that.
But yeah, so that's that.
That's camp 1. Now take us to the next step.
So my hardest challenge, and we'll talk about this next, is moles.
So I want to talk to you about this particular wine because actually some people talk about Petite Sirah and mole, and I'm actually very curious to learn about this because I freaking love mole, and I know that there are like a million different kinds of mole out there, but like I'm obsessed.
Yeah, so I'm only going to talk about one mole, and that's like your traditional mole negro that has like the chocolate and the dried fruit and all of that. There's mole blanco that's made with nuts and seeds. There's green moles. There's red moles. Like there are, I want to say there's like 13 mother moles that like make up this thing, but I might be completely wrong. I might have to check with Fermin.
I was about to say Chef Nunez is going to have to let us know, right?
But there is like a system there, the way like the French sauces are. There is like a system of moles too. But the one I normally talk about, the one that most people are familiar with, is mole negro. So it can go anywhere. If you guys are familiar with mole, you've got typically nuts, dried fruit. We do ours with our house-made chocolate, garlic, onions, all of these things, fresh and dry. There's dried chiles that go into that mix. So it's very complex. It's a 3-day project, so it's extremely layered. It's not just like you're putting a bunch of stuff in a pot and blending it. Like it's slow, and that's because they want all those flavors, which is great for food and a little difficult for wine. But I was about
to say, and a nightmare of a minefield for the sommelier who's trying to help you pair.
Cool.
So tell us.
Sorry.
No, you're great. You have this like really cool filter on your camera now.
Okay, so when I have found success with mole, I have 2 different camps. I have served Cab Franc and Carmenere from Chile pretty well with mole, and I believe it's because they both have these really beautiful green bell pepper notes that incorporate with the Chile really well. Obviously, I've never once tasted a wine and been like, oh my gosh, this reminds me of like Guajillo chilies. Unfortunately, that's like not something that I always find in wine. But I can very often say this reminds me of jalapenos or bell peppers or something that lives in that pepper family, and kind of use that to segue in. So Chilean Carmeneres are big. So yeah. I have to search pretty hard to find the one that isn't too far manipulated in terms of like barrel and all of that stuff, but we've found some really good ones. So
it's interesting that you talk about this camp A. Well, we'll call it camp 2A, right? Like you said, there's two ways you attack mole. So camp 2 is mole, and one way that you think about pairing here is wines that have these high levels of pyrazine, that green bell pepper note, which we've talked about. You regular pyrazine, all you folks out there, you've been watching Wine This Happy Hour long enough. We've been talking about pyrazines and how D does typically not like when there's a lot of green bell pepper notes in his wine. But I love this as an idea when you think of it more as a food ingredient, because it totally makes sense in my brain to have like green bell peppers and jalapenos and other pepper related things in my Mexican food. Right. And so if I think about that component of the wine more as an ingredient than the wine itself, I think I'd totally be on board with that.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's camp 2B?
So we've got these bigger wines that have that savory note. When I go camp B, I go the polar opposite. I go super light skin reds that make my mouth water. So I've got some really good Gamay that we've run through over the last 2 years. I have the Pais Viejo from J. Bouchon, which I love. It's super light and super fruity. And those have been really fun. And so I kind of go one way or the other. I'm like, what do you normally drink if someone's like, I really love Cab? I'm like, all right, we're going to find you something that works here. It's not going to be, aged in barrel for 12 months in New Oak, but we're going to get there. We're going to find something that really works. And with those kind of wines, my thought is you're not focusing on the wine as much. You're really there to focus on the food. And the wine is just kind of a pleasant palate cleanser in between things. So.
And I love to think about it that way too. So many times I talk about like, at the end of the day, don't overthink food and wine pairings. Like if you get frustrated or overwhelmed,
right.
like eat something that you're going to like to eat and drink something you're going to like to drink and enjoy your eating and enjoy your drinking and don't feel the pressure to make them this like perfect marriage.
Right. Yeah. The only rule I've ever really told people is like the spicier your food gets, the less tannin you want, because that's the only time I really had like, okay, wait, these just totally don't work together, because obviously tannin, it gives you that feeling that your mouth is dry. And when you eat something spicy, the last thing you want is for your mouth to be dry and not be able to flush out that spice. So,
100%. And I would say like the other thing I would add on top of that is like, watch out for that high alcohol. If you're doing spicy and high alcohol, you are throwing gasoline on the fire.
Yeah. So yeah, and then the next kind of food topic was proteins for me. A lot of our proteins are either oak grilled or smoked of some sort, and that's super common. Barbacoa is done in underground pits. We've got El Corban grill, so like there's all of these things that kind of are always present in Mexican food. And those compare pretty differently as well. I think those really food-friendly reds are something that, like, if you guys have been to Suerte, you don't just get a plate for yourself, unless like you really don't like your friends. you get like 6 to 7 dishes, and that's the other thing when it comes to pairing. Is you're never gonna find one bottle that's gonna be like, oh my god, this is so perfect. If you're eating the way you should eat Mexican food, which is like all of the things, right?
Man, like, can I just have the whole menu? Like, I need a group, the perfect size where we can order the whole thing, and it works out with our pocketbooks, and we all get a little of something.
Yeah.
A little something of everything.
You have to think that, like, as I've become a restaurant wine director, not a like retail or not at a tasting room, I've become a lot more aware of wines that can really last over a full meal versus with one dish. We don't have a tasting menu. We don't do, so we're not really pairing that way. We're going to table 4, going to a couple and asking like, what's the occasion? What do you want to celebrate? I'll find you that wine that you're going to drink all night and love, and it's going to pair them. But
so you're saying with the protein situation, you're going to stick with the food-friendly reds, or is there another layer to that? You're saying like Gamay, Pais.
So with the red meats, I'm still sticking with those food-friendly reds. I found road blends work really well, depending, but your like GSM blends can be really good. I worked at Donkey and Goat, didn't talk about that, but I'm a sucker for their red blends. They've always focused on, rather than making wines that are just about what's in the glass, they've always had a huge focus on wines that you want at the dinner table. So their roans are delicious and really bright and electric and fruity, and I love them. But other than that, my other side of pairing with proteins is we do a lot of seafood, and so I am all over Spanish whites. I love Albariños. I love Vino Verde. Anything with a little bit of salinity, super high acid. Some herbaceousness is always really nice because Mexican food uses a lot of herbal components. Cilantro being the one everybody knows, but hoja santa gets put in a lot of our stuff. Some oregano sometimes. All of these really green notes will pop up. Bell peppers. So for my other kind of.
Yeah, no, and I think that for me, I tend not to go like big on seafood. That's just my personal palate. But every time, if I'm going to get like a fresh fish or fresh shrimp or ceviche, even a lot of times I'm like looking to spritz like a lime or a lemon or something like that on top.
Right.
And if you think about that from a food component perspective, what's the wine equivalent of like spritzing a lemon or a lime?
It goes back to the margarita pairing, right?
Yeah, exactly. I want the margarita.
Where you want, and margarita has a salt rim. It's high acid, high salinity, effervescence a little bit. Chocolate is an amazing pairing for our food. But yeah.
That all makes chocolate. What about Gruner Veltliner? Would you go there too?
Yeah, I do love Gruner. That's the one wine where people are like, why would I drink Austrian wine with my Mexican food? And I'm like, why
What,
would
the
I do
same, I love it. The same reason you would drink German Riesling with Asian
with
food.
Indian food,
Like,
right? Yeah. So they all work really well.
yeah.
The one, you guys can try this and let me know. The one pairing that I've heard on multiple different counts from different people that I've never tried, sherry and mole, which makes total sense because like nuttiness and dried fruits, right? That would totally pair, but I've never gotten to try it myself. So that's the one. That was my one note that I made for myself. I was like, "Ooh, ask anybody if they've tried cherry."
Okay, so true story. I have a little amount of sherry that I've been hanging on to for a while. The question is there mole on the Suerte menu tomorrow when you guys open up?
Not tomorrow. I might have to make a special batch.
Okay. Well, when that happens, when Chef Nunez gets some mole, you let me know, and I will absolutely let you know how sherry and mole goes, because I want to try that. I love sherry.
I love sherry too.
Yeah. Okay. Holy mother of information. This has been incredible. I'm going to take a few questions. There have been, I think everybody's just sitting back and like drinking and listening to this because we all. No, this is so great because like we all eat so much Mexican food. If you're into Texas wine and you're listening to the William Chris Happy Hour, like it is likely that you enjoy a lot of Mexican food that's in your life. So like most of these people are living in Texas or have lived in Texas or have connections to it. And so I think people are like, oh, this is like all, and like people are like legit, they have their phones out, like writing notes.
They're going to start the conversation.
I mean, seriously, this is the best food pairing information. How about this? Most useful that I have had in a long time, because I feel like it's not covered in wine education. People don't single out Mexican food and talk about the pairing opportunities. So
it's intimidating. And then you start drinking wine and eating Mexican food because you like Mexican food and you like wine, and you start to learn that it'll all work.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I'm going to bring up our other guests today, see if they have a couple of questions. So first up, Lisa, I think I saw you pop into the comments. Lisa, what's your question today?
I know, I'm trying to like listen and send my comments at the same time. Well, so when you were talking about gamay and something fruity with the spicy foods, do you think Carignan would work? Because to me, that's like super fruity and not harsh. And
so I would say California Carignan, absolutely. Carignan is grown in a lot of places and has different kind of treatment a lot of the times. Most of the Carignans coming out of Northern California are pretty fresh and fruity and bright. And so I would say absolutely. I don't know, is the William Chris Carignan, you guys have one? Yeah. We do. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think for us, it does, depending on the year, like it can be lower in alcohol. So kind of like what Lisa's talking about, is a little more fruit forward. I think one of the things it carries for me, and this is again just my palate, and tasting notes are different for everybody, I think both the William Chris and a lot of Carignans that I've had before carry this like earthiness that I think would pair well. But I've never tried it. Like this is a like undiscovered realm for me. So I am going to cede the answer to you. You're the expert.
For red meats is always really good. So like barbacoa is goat, and so anything earthy with goat is usually spot on because it's got this.
And you keep talking about spices and smoke and earth and peppers, and I'm thinking, Dee, the perfect thing to do is we get all of our different single vineyard productions of Mourvèdre, as well as the High Plains Mourvèdre, and taste all of the Mexican food there with all of the Mourvèdres, because that is going to be the answer to every food question.
Yes, preach the gospel of Mourvèdre. I'm with you 100%, Lisa. Yeah, I think you win that as well. And I'm really glad you brought that up. Like our Mourvèdres, and in Texas, they show up a lot of different ways. I know Sally is really familiar with Dirty and Rowdy as well, and his Mourvèdres show up very differently, and a lot of times can be quite fruit forward, and I think are a good stand-in for a lot of these fruity reds we're talking about.
Yeah, the donkey and goat, they use a lot of Mourvèdre too, and I love it. It's part of that GSM blend, so it's a really good kind of thing to have.
I love that. Lisa, great question. Thank you. I appreciate you. Guys, this has been so much information. We are already 40 minutes in, so I don't want to spend too much time longer. I know, I can't believe this has gone so long. This has been incredible. We're not even going to play a game because it's Monday and y'all need to like finish your day, and I don't want to extend happy hour super long, but I am going to bring up all of these wonderful people. Yes, Catherine has been so informative. I'm going to bring up all my friends up on the screen who are special guests. While I pull up, you guys know I do these three things here. First, before I launch into these announcements and put them on screen, Celia, like holy mother of like Mexican food wine pairing knowledge. This is incredible. I'm going to go back and rewatch this so I can like pay closer attention to not hosting and just like your knowledge and information. Two, I'm coming to pick up tacos. If it's not tomorrow, it's like in the next couple days, and I am going to try all of these pairings at the same time. Guys, I'm gonna set up a taco wine pairing experience in my front yard. That is not an invitation. That's just letting you all know what's happening in Dee's life over the next few days. But thank you so much for sharing your immense knowledge, and gosh, so good to see your face. While I post these announcements in the comments and talk through them, if you can be thinking about who you'd like to cheers to, because you're our special guest, you get to cheers us out. Guys, the golden ticket is happening. It is our version of Willy Wonka, no trademark situation. So I didn't just say that. Guys, holy mother of golden tickets. We are doing a golden ticket prize package for 4 people, curbside and delivery, and then a 5th person this Saturday during the live tasting. So you want to get wine for this virtual tasting pack, also because that artist blend is in it, and it's not likely you're ever to see it in anywhere else ever because it was such small production. Go get this virtual tasting pack. If you want it on your front doorstep, you know you need to add 2 more bottles for free shipping, okay? 2 more bottles for free shipping, and that second announcement right there, use the code happy hour, you get 10% off of those extra 2 bottles. So get the virtual tasting pack, add 2 more bottles using the code happy hour, because you know happy hour is tight like that, and get the free shipping, okay? And maybe you're a golden ticket winner. That's going to be good for a stay at the Highway House, a barrel tasting with Chris, and a food and wine pairing with Chef Ty. Like, legit, like you are going to run around the streets and go show your grandpa and jump in his bed because you want to take him to the wine factory in High Texas. Okay. Last but certainly not least, my friend Ari, formerly of the Austin American Statesman, is going to be joining us tomorrow, dropping some knowledge. I'm not going to tell you the topic yet, but you want to be here 5 o'clock right here tomorrow. Guys, week 8 is off to a stinking incredible start. It is Monday after Mother's Day, and this is going to be my special cheers before I turn it over to Celia. Guys, Mother's Day is not squeaky clean for everybody. It can be a difficult holiday for a lot of folks, and it's the Monday after Mother's Day. And as someone who has personally lost their mom, I know that Mother's Day can be a hard holiday for folks. Some of us have complicated relationships with mom. Some folks have had complications. A lot of my friends have had complications in attempts of trying to become a mom, and folks who feel pressured by society or their friends and family to become a mom. And I just want to say you're loved and important, and that Mother's Day isn't easy for everybody, and that's okay. And so I want to celebrate you the Monday after Mother's Day. For those of you who Mother's Day is a little more complicated. So cheers to all of you Monday after Mother's Day for the complicated situations. So that's the first cheers. And Celia, I'm going to turn over to you to cheers us out. Who are we cheersing to today, Celia?
I am cheersing teachers.
Oh, yay!
My mom trying to do all of this and educate her children online, and y'all are amazing.
Amen to that.
Listen, all the wine.
Well, cheers to everybody out there. Thank you guys so much for being here. Cheers to teachers, and we will see you right here at 5 o'clock tomorrow, guys.
Bye, y'all. Thank you.
Bye.